This is where we begin.
Right here?
The Afterthoughts podcast has returned once again for another episode. Gearing up for in a few weeks, we will have Donald Trump and Kamala Harris on the Afterthoughts podcast.
It's going to be a great debate.
So don't miss a week because we're not going to announce which one it is.
Yes.
Whoever
responds first. Neither administration has responded at this point.
Yeah, Kayla keeps DMing them and they will not get back to us.
Yeah.
Not yet.
I need the blue check mark.
Oh, yeah.
Do whatever you've got to do.
Of course.
Ethan,
$15?
Can we use AI to get Kayla a blue check mark? So that, there you go. You can pay for it now.
We are beginning a
I wanna
GoFundMe today for the
Yes.
Afterthoughts podcast blue check mark so that we can have the presidential candidates on.
Yep.
Yeah.
I want to get one of them on here just so we can say what Dave Ramsey just said last week on his social media, because he reached out to both administrations and
Dave Ramsey did.
the Harris administration hasn't gotten back to him, but Trump did. And he just interviewed Trump last week. Going to release it this week,
Dave
a
Ramsey.
conversation. And he's trying to have conversations with both.
Oh.
But he said, if it bothers you that I'm having a conversation about finances with Donald Trump, just like if it would bother you if I were to have it with Kamala Harris, then please leave. Good luck with your debt for the rest of your life. Grow up.
Get so mad.
And you don't need to be, we have so many viewers, we don't even need you.
Dude, Ramsey
Well,
so mad about that.
We do not.
It was so awesome though.
We
to
do not
hear him
have the
say all
same
that.
problem as Dave Ramsey. We don't have so many viewers that we don't.
Did we get to 1 billion this
We
week?
need all of you. We're on our way to 1 billion.
Okay, good.
Yes. We do need a couple more people to
Yeah.
share it, and then we'll get.
If you're
close.
offended by anything, please let us know so we can change everything.
We will pivot so quickly.
Is Dave Ramsey? Is he trying to like specifically talk about finances of
Yes.
this country?
Yep.
Because
And he's asking the question. He said, my very first question
Yeah.
to Trump, and it will be the same first question to Kamala, is the financial situation in our country. I don't care how we got here over the last 4 years. I don't care whose fault it is. Don't tell me about either of those
yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Tell me within the first 90 days, what are you planning to do?
Go.
as a guy who
Oh,
Dave
that's
Ramsey,
awesome. I want to hear that.
Yeah.
Dave Ramsey hates debt more than I've ever hated anything
Yeah.
in my life,
Mm-hmm.
even the Kansas City Chiefs.
Wow.
By the way, Patrick Mahomes hit his own teammate, Rashee Rice,
Wait.
and blew his knee up.
I didn't see that.
Oh.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I just don't know why you would do that to your own teammate.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Friendly
super
fire.
messed up.
It
Friendly
was-
fire,
it
really
was-
bad, really
it was-
costly.
Yeah. It was on purpose. for
anyway,
sure.
Wow. Use that as a metaphor for Christianity right now.
Oh, sure.
but
Yeah. You know, one of the things about accountability
Yeah.
is that sometimes we make the excuse, well, my accountability partner just didn't get back to me. And what is actually happening is that's us refusing to have agency over our own lives and then blaming our accountability partner.
Okay.
And so friendly fire.
how do you take ownership? What if your situation is my own quarterback dove and it destroyed my knee while I was trying to
Oh,
make a
gosh.
play?
Then you make a podcast about it. Yeah. If you're
Well-
a Christian podcast, a really great way to get followers fast is just to call out pastors and churches by names and talk about all the things you don't like about them.
Yeah,
And
very
just be
fruitful,
sort of
very fruitful.
But it's a very
Super
fast way
helpful.
to build a platform.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then do it all in the name of starting a conversation
Also-
and pointing out what's wrong for the sake of truth.
And just so you all know, all those all those pastors that you're calling out, it's not like they have so many other hurting people that they're trying to shepherd
crippling anxiety
throughout
about
the
all
day.
of it. Yeah, that's
So,
cool.
Thanks for doing all that.
That's good. So all that to say, I'd love to hear Dave Ramsey ask them, how did we get in so much debt as a country? And could we ever get out of it? Because every time you hear a
It's a
number of debt, you're just like, that's,
It's a lot. I
don't even comprehend how.
doesn't even
Yeah.
make sense.
Can you get out of that? I don't know, man.
It seems like the world's doing great
Sure.
overall.
Yeah.
Here's why.
Okay.
Longhorns,
Yeah.
that's a victory.
Yep.
Buffs,
What a game,
Big
man.
victory.
Best-
Underdogs.
best
Come
win
on.
of the Coach Prime era, they say.
11-point underdog.
Big underdogs. And turns out we were big overdogs because we
Oh, yeah.
destroyed UCF. Broncos,
Yeah. 10-9.
ugliest game.
Beating Aaron
Of
Rodgers.
course it was.
But we won.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers did not look good.
No.
But he didn't.
Neither did the offensive line of the Jets or just the Jets in general.
Yeah, their defense.
And that is fun.
yeah,
A lot of boring games recently.
Yeah.
that's
in
kind of
the
Broncos
NFL.
football.
Oh,
but at least
yeah.
our quarterback doesn't injure his own teammates.
Right. Right. And we're only 2 games back on the Chiefs. So
Kayla, how's your fantasy team?
I won this week.
You did? Okay.
Oh, yeah. played Kylie.
Congrats.
So
Good job, Kayla.
thank you so
I
much.
love it.
My players kind of popped off. So
So you have CD Lamb, right?
What?
You have CD Lamb?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
so
he had a good
him and
Thursday night.
I have Dak. So that was a good combo.
Okay.
That was a good week.
Is your team
Yeah.
named Pterodactyl?
Oh, that would be no. Mine is Lamb of God. So
Oh, for CD.
yeah, CD Lamb,
Cool.
and then my profile picture is a CD and then a lamb.
That's
Yeah,
good.
of
So
course.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
yeah, CD Lamb.
Do you think when CD's parents named him that they had any indication that CDs would kind of go out in the not too
Yeah.
distant future? Because now it's streaming. you know?
Right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Poor guy.
Now it's iPods.
He's doing okay though.
Lamb.
He's doing fine.
Yeah,
See if you can get him on here too. He just has
Okay.
to come down from Dallas.
yeah.
That's an
I
easy
mean,
drive.
that's a quick one.
We have even more football on at our house now that my wife has a fantasy team. It's wonderful.
Yeah,
There you go.
She
She's
won
doing-
last night.
absolutely.
She's doing pretty
Well,
good.
Great.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's good.
She's passionate about it.
Yes.
Love to see it.
You do love to see that, Doug.
Yep.
Anything else you guys want to say? We've covered politics. We've covered sports. We've covered WatchDoug, YouTubers.
we did a whole thing about
Yeah.
that.
Kinda just
I'm actually starting
went
one of
after-
those YouTube channels. So I wanted to see your guys'
give
reaction.
give a plug to your YouTube channel. Doug.
Yeah.
It's called WatchDoug.
WatchDoug.
Yeah.
WatchDoug on the wall.
WatchDoug.
WatchDoug.
WatchDoug. Be a watchdog.
When we were
Yeah,
traveling,
the watchdog of the Christian faith.
Yeah, that's good.
when we were
That's-
traveling, we would go to. We were in Africa. We'd go to schools often and like do programs with the kids and stuff, and we'd introduce ourselves. And every place, when he introduced himself, they thought his name was Dog,
Oh, yeah.
and the kids would just die laughing. They're like, "That
Aw.
guy's name is Dog."
My name is Doug.
Doug.
Everybody loses it. And I'm like, no, not dog.
No.
Douglas. And then they all laugh even more.
You did it exactly
Yeah.
like that.
Exactly what it is.
Yeah.
The way that you can just repeat things, the mannerisms, it's just so perfect.
Shout out to our new sponsor, Slate.
Those are awesome, by the way.
Slate. Tell us about
I had
Slate,
one.
Doug.
I had one before
What
my
is it?
sermon.
It's like healthy, no sugar,
Mm-hmm.
coffee, but 20 grams of protein.
Wow.
There you
Yeah.
Protein coffee.
Yes.
Caffeinated.
Dude, maybe that's how
They
you'll
have-
get addicted to caffeine.
Did they have decaf?
Speaking of Slate, welcome back from snorkeling.
Kelly Slater.
Thanks.
You're welcome, man.
Speaking of Slate,
From your vacation.
is there Slate Rock? Yes, I was on vacation.
Yes.
But
Tell us about it.
I purposefully planned it in between episodes
Yeah.
perfectly.
We know.
because
Right.
Yeah.
We do have a bye week coming up, and people are always devastated when there's a bye week of the Afterthoughts
Devastated.
podcast. But it is football season.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I was in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Ever heard of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, man.
We were in Riviera Maya.
Okay.
Yes.
Steph and I got to celebrate our 10-year anniversary.
Congratulations.
Wow.
10
One
years.
decade.
1 decade down.
And some very awesome friends of ours, the Bills, sent us on a trip.
they're the best.
That's
dude.
awesome.
It
man.
was incredible.
Yeah.
So,
You guys like the beach?
yeah, we did.
You do?
It was nice.
Okay.
Yeah. I liked the sand and the water.
Are you a fan of
And the
all
sun.
inclusive or not really?
Yeah, did you compare
I-
all inclusive to a day of work at Red Rocks Austin?
Yeah.
Well, it's close. It is close because we have snacks here. So
We do.
Ew. Yeah.
Yep.
anytime you hear a
And we
person
can do
that's like,
ocean sounds. through the
vacation was
speakers.
great, but
Anytime
I
you
was
want.
ready to come home. I'm like, why? Like, I was happy to see my kids for sure, but I could live at an all-inclusive resort and never need more purpose. I could just
Easy.
Yeah.
every day just
I think
do the
I
same
could
routine.
too.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was incredible.
Yeah.
So good. That's
Um,
actually a great question. Honestly, how long do you think you could go at an all-inclusive?
Yeah.
With and you can't have any actual purpose. Like you can't do any work. You can't write anything.
I found a
Even
lot of
better.
purpose in the lazy river.
You have to just
I can
live.
tell you that.
Yeah.
So are we talking months? Are we talking years?
Yeah. Probably forever.
Yeah.
I'd try.
We're talking decades.
Decades,
Yeah.
4 decades, 5
You
decades.
just get involved at the hotel, just hanging out with everybody,
Yeah.
help around this. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. But the catch is you can't leave the hotel at all.
Yeah, which I never feel the need to.
No.
I don't
They're like,
understand.
oh,
why
you're going to
people
want to go
would.
see the
Nope.
ruins of this.
Nope.
Or go to that. No.
Nope.
I don't need to do that.
You're going to want to immerse yourself in the culture and really
Yeah.
have an adventure.
That's not what this trip is.
There's
Yeah.
a gym
And it wasn't-
here. There's food here.
hydrotherapy circuit they had.
The cold plunge
Oh.
and the sauna,
Snorkeling.
amino
There's like
acid
a-
shower.
There's like a massage
Amino
bed
acid.
in the pool you lay in that just shoots bubbles and jets and stuff. I mean, it's
Not amino acid. Maybe there was amino acids in it. Essential oil.
there's an amino acid
Which
shower.
I could say like, oh, it's actually the same thing, and just say it with confidence.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. I knew that.
Yeah. The amino acid shower was wild.
Oh,
Dude, WatchDoug's gonna do a whole episode on it.
I thought of you guys.
I'm gonna have a new. We should do a WatchDoug segment every week where I have a new thing
Yeah.
about Christian culture
Yes. All right,
to
this
be
does-
like to like tattle on.
Okay.
That's
I
how
can't
I feel. Remember the show
can't wait.
Recess?
Oh yeah,
The cartoon where the one kid, Randall, was just the
which is the
tattletale.
perfect name for the tattletale.
Oh yeah, and he just
Randall.
whoever
yeah.
the principal was, the assistant principal,
like,
he would
best
just
friends
go
with her?
Yeah, and he'd just go whisper,
teacher's
so and
pet.
so's doing this. That's what I feel like. If you have a WatchDoug YouTube channel, you're the Randall
Randall.
of Christianity. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So that's me.
No,
For today's WatchDoug segment.
I think WatchDoug should be the segment where Doug tees off on Christian watchdogs,
Sure.
where he finds
Done.
somebody
Done.
on YouTube or something, and he just has his moment to
Great.
rant
Oh, a
about
little taste of their own medicine? Fine. Deal.
it. So I thought of you guys one time on my trip.
Yes.
We were
You shouldn't have.
well,
That was a
this
waste
time,
of
Oh, yeah. That
thoughts.
moment.
but this time was worth it because I know you would have been there laughing with me.
Okay.
We had snorkel masks,
Mm-hmm.
a new design I hadn't seen that covers your whole face.
mhm.
And maybe you can animate one on me right now to show the people.
Oh, now I see it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so it looks like this. And, so you just breathe normal, but you've got this mask on. Anyway,
But you can breathe.
It-
so
yeah. So you just breathe in, and it's got the tube that goes out of the
Yep.
water for you.
Yep.
So I immediately realized that if you talk like Bane from The Dark Knight Rises, it does the mask effect
Oh,
on
yeah.
you.
Yes.
Oh yes.
So for probably 30 minutes, I was alone out in the ocean snorkeling, talking to myself as Bane. Just
None
in
of
my
that
own
surprises
world.
me at all.
And-
Nobody can hear you.
But I hope people on the beach could, because they were probably like, who is that guy?
Hit us with a good
This is
Bane
my
impression.
favorite one. I
Give the
said,
people some examples.
that's a lovely, lovely fish. And I just waved to the angelfish, like, yeah. Dude, it was great. Saw a stingray. And,
Whoa, how big? Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
And then it buried itself under the sand. It was fearful.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I said, do not fear me. I am
Yeah.
your friend, not your foe.
Yeah, you either join the culture, you bury yourself in the sand, or you become a creative minority. That's what John Tyson taught us. Maybe you can teach the stingray.
That's what I
that.
told the stingray. he was like, what?
Say what?
Sorry,
Have
man.
we told the Bane story about when we were filming on this podcast?
Oh.
When we were filming the end of the year recap.
Oh, yeah. No, probably not.
it had
Is it a
gotten-
story? I don't even know.
It had gotten delayed.
talking about.
We were filming the Wrapped. What do we
The
call it?
end of
Wrapped.
year wrapped. We call it
Oh,
wrapped.
okay.
And
That's what it was.
The three of us were outside trying to figure out what we were gonna say.
Yes.
And we just got into this hypothetical situation, of course, of you doing the Bane impression to our staff.
Confronting Sean at Staff Advance
And
as Bane.
I thought it was so funny that when these guys called us in to go film, we had to do 2 takes because the first time we walked in for this like really serious segment, I was just laughing so hard.
Let's not stand on ceremony here, Pastor Sean.
Yeah, we get in.
So if you go watch Wrapped from the end of the year, you watch me talk the whole time I'm trying to talk, I'm like trying to fight back, busting up laughing because I can't stop thinking.
I was trying to figure out, is it 10 years of marriage or ministry that led me to be a person who's snorkeling, talking to himself as Bane and having the time of his life?
It's a combination.
When you said 30 minutes, I know that's not an exaggeration.
Maybe underselling it.
Yeah, you might be
and cracking yourself up.
the whole time. I had a good time out there. Very fun.
Oh
Good,
man.
Steph and I had an awesome trip.
That's
it was
so
really
good.
great. But it's good to have me back, guys. That's what I told Kayla this morning. She said, hey, so good to have me back. And she didn't say anything. So it's good.
Nah.
Anyway, that's all my notes.
Yeah.
I got home at like 11 last night.
In
So
fairness to her, hard to
Yeah.
think of what you'd say to that.
Right. Is it good to have you back?
that's one of my favorite ways to catch somebody off guard. You haven't seen them in a bit. Hey, oh, hey, great to see me. Just like, what?
I was preaching in Denver last weekend, and
love
I
that.
did the double negative joke a few times.
Did
just
anyone
to
get
see
it?
what there was a few people who
Yeah.
just it took them like 3 seconds,
Yeah.
a legit 3 seconds,
Yep.
and then started because I was telling the roller coaster story about riding it backwards, and it's like, well, the line's long, but it's not worth it, and just kind of wait and.
You're like, who's paying
I'm
attention?
using sermon time to
Try out some humor.
yeah.
I've got
see if
35
anybody-
minutes here,
to
and
see
I'm
if
using some of
anybody
it.
in this room gets the double negative.
I'm going to preach in that snorkel mask next time to see if people pay more attention.
Sure,
Just hold the microphone up to
they
the
will
spout.
until they can't
Or
understand
we can
you.
put the Britney mic on the top of it.
All right. Well, Ryan, you want to close us in prayer? I think the people got what they came for.
We did cover a lot of ground there.
Yeah.
And we have a new segment that we'll be debuting at our next episode called WatchDoug.
WatchDoug. Dude, that's such a great idea.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Yep.
man.
Mm-hmm.
So, Ryan.
Yeah. We skipping questions with Kayla this
Oh,
week?
yeah.
Wow,
oh, no, I was
those
going to ask you if you
1 week
wanted to do
vacation.
questions with
Yeah,
Kayla.
questions.
Ryan, would you like to do questions with Kayla?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, so every week on the Afterthoughts podcast, we do a very fun segment called Questions with Kayla.
Yay!
Thanks for letting me say that.
Yeah.
It's fun to do it.
That was really fun.
I never mean to be selfish with it.
Yeah.
It's part of the job, but I'm happy to share.
He's a new guy after vacation.
Vacation Ethan is
Yeah.
the
I've
best
never gotten to do
prime
that.
form of Ethan.
I don't want
You
to.
just got your own new segment called WatchDoug, brought to you by Slate. Okay, so
Doug's like the brother where when your brother has a birthday party and you have to buy a gift for the other one too, just so they don't feel left out.
yeah, that happened. This would be such a long story in one sentence. My
You
dad,
can do a few sentences.
my dad found his biological family, and
Comma.
my new biological aunt or grandma or somebody up from this whole new family I didn't know.
M-dash.
Gave my brother and I both presents for my birthday, and he got a better present than me. And I remember being like,
Semicolon.
That's my birthday. That's what happens when you're a new family. You're just trying to figure stuff out.
Sure.
All right.
Go ahead, Kayla.
Okay. Well, you kind of answered.
Kayla,
He kind of
take
answered
control.
one of my
Take
questions.
You know the
control
story
of
you
this
just told?
podcast.
I don't even, I couldn't even tell you what you just said. I was completely, no idea. I was thinking about you saying comma, semicolon.
Wait,
You know, be a hard story in one sentence. It's like,
I have no idea. Couldn't even tell you the
so
topic.
Complex what happened. That was the two kids that both need a gift for their
All right,
birthday.
Kayla, here we go.
Oh man.
I'm still, guys. I apologize to our audience. I'm very jet lagged for my
Yeah.
trip. Cancun is in the same time zone as Texas, so I'm really struggling this morning. What is it? What time is it now? I don't know, but it's
11:05.
Yeah, it's the same time there.
Yeah.
So, but I'm not there.
No.
I'm upside down right now.
No.
I've got a great
You
book
might
for
still
you.
be sleeping.
Put right side up. Right
side up.
Signed by Ryan.
Happy to sign it for you too.
I like to think
Ooh.
your final book will be Ryan's side up.
Ryan, sign up. Maybe that can be my segment.
Kayla, would you take control here?
Yeah.
Watch
Take control of this podcast.
How do you like your eggs? Oh, how do you like your eggs? Ryan, side up.
Take control.
I should have ordered like that, but I was on vacation.
Let's see.
I'll take
That's
two
really
eggs.
good.
Ryan, side up, please.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
all right.
Oh. So, anyways, go ahead, Kayla.
Well, one of my questions, even though you kind of answered it, but give it more concise. Ideal vacation day.
Just did it.
Yours is doing the Bane
Snorkeling
impression
as Bane.
underwater.
Snorkel as Bane.
Okay, all day snorkel. That's
Sure.
a long time.
You'd fly there just to do that for an hour, then fly back.
I would do that, but
Like a Wednesday when you're here on Tuesday and then you have to be back here on Thursday.
yeah, I'd do it.
You would do it?
I'll do it.
Honestly, flying without your kids is like a vacation.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, I just watch a movie.
Seriously.
Okay.
Why
Deal.
does anybody complain about
This
this?
is amazing.
I don't understand.
I watched Iron Claw. That is one of the saddest movies
Yeah.
ever, but so good. Didn't know how good of an actor
Logan
Zac
was
Efron is.
describing it to me, and I was like, I don't think I
You
ever
can't.
want to watch
You
this.
shouldn't. No. And if you're a parent, Probably shouldn't either.
No.
It's just
No,
so sad.
I
but
will
so
never
good.
watch that.
That's
Then,
apparent.
based
Made
on
it
that
halfway through
description,
Inside Out too as well.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah, I gotta finish
My
it.
second question.
Anxiety. Ooh.
And
Wait,
Ryan,
no, mine's golf. Sorry,
Oh,
I would golf.
You would golf?
Yeah.
okay. Golf all day,
Yep.
and then pool later.
And then I would work on my WatchDoug YouTube channel.
Fair. Good.
Yeah,
Good.
pool later. That sounds great.
Okay.
I'm waking up early. I think about this a lot. Going for a nice walk, having a nice breakfast, surfing for about 3 hours so that I have salt water in my mouth because that makes tacos taste better.
Wow.
So I get out of the water, I have some tacos, and then pool and a book in the afternoon.
Wow.
And then ideally surfing again as the sun is going down.
That's great.
That's
I'm,
so great.
Actually, now have a new online class on how to have a perfect vacation day, $5.99. You can find it through
Subscribe today.
Ethan Matott Ministries. So
Must be
I don't give
nice.
away all my secrets, but I will say there is snorkeling.
EthanVacations.com.
Yeah, just
Must be nice to have these imaginary scenaarios.
Okay, next question.
Okay.
I think. Yeah, let's keep this moving.
Doug's
is,
like the bitter.
Just trying to get into character for WatchDoug.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I made a BPS
Because everything
the
I
other
say
day.
is actually based on jealousy and a
great.
quiet, unhealed
Yes.
bitterness that I. Yeah,
Kayla made BPS ballpark sandwiches,
Yeah,
and it was good.
and it was good.
But I
Okay.
had to let you know that you make the sauce and you mix the meat into the sauce.
Right. Yeah, your instructions weren't that clear.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
I'm actually putting out a new recipe book
Okay.
through Ethan Matott Ministries.
Ethan Cooks.
Yeah, it's a working title.
It's just your name and then whatever
It's cook-
verb it
cook-
is.
It's called Cookie.
Cookie.
Oh, that's good.
It's your face on a cookie on the cover.
Yeah. Also, I had the idea when you guys wrote Echoes of Eden that I wanted to make a book called Nachos of Ethan, and it's just pictures where people try to make nachos that look like.
Dude. Nachos of Ethan would be such a great sequel.
So, just a coffee table book. These are just nachos that people made to try to kind of look like their friend.
Nachos of Ethan.
All right. Was there a question there?
I do have a question that's food related, so that's awesome. Thanks, guys, for setting me up.
Yeah, you told us you made BPS, but I don't know if that was just
Oh.
you just wanted to share that or if that was leading to
Yeah.
something.
That was me being
Good job.
selfish. Sorry.
Great job.
And this is great, Ryan. You just talked about salt water in your mouth.
Sure.
Thanks for setting me up.
No problem. Happy to do it.
If you
I'm kind of
could
leading the
use-
questions with Kayla's segment, so I figured I would.
Kind of Ryan's taking ownership
So,
of it today.
so go ahead.
Yeah. If you could use one
Proud
seasoning
of
for
you,
the
man.
rest of your life, and that's the only seasoning you can use, what would you use?
Garlic salt.
Caribbean jerk.
Specific.
Yeah.
That's what they called me out there in the water on vacation.
Who's that Caribbean jerk out there? Scaring all the fish with the Bane voice.
That's good. That's good.
Whatever the seasoning they put on the lemon pepper wings at Pluckers.
It's called
Are you kidding me?
What's the one? What's the one?
Whatever
where
the
it's like
seasoning, whatever
pepper,
the,
but it's
whatever-
more lemony.
What's the thing that makes the ocean taste salty? Yeah, that.
That's
Dude,
good.
WatchDoug is gonna rip me apart for that answer.
Pastor doesn't know what lemon pepper is. My thoughts on Ryan Wekenman's spice decision.
Be my face and Ryan's face on the YouTube thing.
With like flames behind Ryan, a false teacher. Yeah.
Lemon pepper is my
Go
answer,
ahead.
Kayla.
Great.
Yes. You cracked the code. Good job. Great question.
Yeah, no
like-
problem. Happy to do it.
All right.
This is going well.
Is that it?
I had one more.
Okay.
If
Yeah,
we're-
go ahead, Kayla.
And Ryan, you can kind of answer this however you want.
What?
Kayla's just roasting me at this point.
I like this already.
So you guys,
We've never gotten Kayla to.
you
Uh-huh.
guys are both in your.
Don't look at her. Let her collect
Yeah,
herself.
you got this.
So you guys are both in your 10 years of marriage.
Just roasting my singleness.
Ryan can answer.
Yeah. I love that this is so hard.
Okay, I can't wait.
Is perpetually lonely.
Let's go.
So, Doug and
What's
Ethan,
your biggest piece of advice?
10 years, for 10 years, after 10 years of
Yeah.
marriage, or being a friend to someone who's been married for 10 years. Ryan, you go first.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, what I've learned from watching these guys be married for 10 years is,
Lead off, man.
Great.
it's all about putting them first and putting yourself second.
There you go.
Okay.
And putting God even ahead of first, because a threefold chord, something. Tough to break.
Great job.
Oh man, I love that.
That was,
Great
that
job,
was good. Trying to be inclusive with the question.
It's so hard. You just ask these guys.
Just obviously cut him out.
Let's say you've been married for 10 years, or let's say one day maybe you will be married for 10
but
years.
probably not.
In like 20 years.
What's your biggest piece
What
of
do you
it?
think?
Wow.
Uh,
Oh, so good to see my sermon on joy really hit you guys. So much joy.
I feel
abound.
so strong.
You seem a little bit, I don't know, angry.
Oh, you mean bitter?
WatchDoug.
WatchDoug.
Beneath all of that anger is deep, deep sadness, Doug.
A deep, profound sadness.
Okay.
I listened to my anger long enough to know it was grief.
This YouTube channel
And
is my
that's-
fig leaf.
This is getting mean. No.
It's
Go
out
ahead,
of control.
man. Marriage.
Doug, you talk about vision. man.
I won't say anything about vision.
Okay, I will.
Working on your marriage is
like
more
our
important than is the most important thing you can do for your kids.
Good.
Yeah.
Yep. Is for them to see mom and dad have a loving, thriving marriage.
Now, should someone plan for the wedding or plan for the marriage?
Oh, definitely get a vision for your wedding and plan for your wedding. Make sure everything is perfect. And don't start thinking about your marriage until you get back from your honeymoon.
And spend as much money as possible on your
Yeah.
wedding and go into debt to make more financial strain on your marriage.
Because
Yeah.
then once you're married, then you complete each other. and
Correct.
So everything's fine.
Use
Everything
the
is fulfilled in
cash.
another broken person.
Use the cash for one party instead of a down payment.
Got it. Got it.
Yep.
And if you're starting to have marriage problems, just have kids because kids fix those problems.
And get as many dogs as you can.
Uh-huh.
Because it's awesome.
You gotta learn.
Because it's not stressful at all. Especially if you don't have a yard, get a dog.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
We always tell couples without vision, people perish. Without vision, marriages perish. The Cord of Three Strands, one of my favorite things that's hit me in the last few years. It says that basically two can survive together, but a cord of three strands is not easily broken, which I've interpreted meaning you can make it play defense. You can survive two people, but if you have Jesus interwoven into every aspect of your marriage, then you will thrive rather than survive. You'll play offense. And I think too many couples are playing defense trying to keep their marriage surviving and have no offense to go play together.
Yeah.
So find a purpose, a mission for your marriage. Marriage has a mission. Marriage is not the mission. It has one.
Very good.
That's
thank
great.
you.
Good job.
Yep.
Ryan, any last?
No, I think you guys summed it up nicely. That was everything I was going to say.
Good.
So-
Good. Well,
Well, your message was great last weekend.
Thank you.
You preached on uncommon ownership.
Ownership. You got to own it.
Why did you decide, first of all, to go that route?
little teaser there. Yeah, ownership. Got to own it.
So talk to people about
Yep.
who are renting
Yeah, oh,
about
yeah.
maybe uncommon
You're
owning.
throwing money away every month. I'm kidding.
But maybe
some-
wait, because who knows what's going to happen with the
Sometimes
economy.
it's a good investment. That's
You
not what
never
the sermon
know.
was about.
You never know.
Oh,
Interest rates are dropping.
Yes. So is that
yes.
you talking about a different kind of ownership?
Different kind of
Okay.
ownership. No, I have just noticed in so many conversations in the lobby, so many pastoral meetings, how agency seems to just be it's common sense. We have agency over our lives, but it's amazing how easy and quickly we forget that. And we start to feel like all the things that are happening in our life are happening to us, and there's nothing we can do about it. Now, all of the balancing statements, there's hard things that happen. Everybody has their own battles that they're fighting. We get all that. But at some point, you also have to realize, no, I have more agency in this than I think. And I can actually take ownership of this and get better. I don't have to be where I am today a year from now. And so the message was all about getting back up and getting back in the game and realizing that ever since God put Adam in the garden in Genesis 2:15 and said, work it and take care of it and take it somewhere, that God has given us agency over our lives. The problem is, in the very next chapter, you know the story, they eat the fruit and they immediately give all of that agency away. It's like they lose all of their power and they just go, well, no, it's his fault, it's her fault, it's the serpent's fault. Yeah. And that is human nature to a T. Is like, we can get better. You can get better at things. You can move forward. You can chase that dream, but it's also so easy just to go, no, that's never going to be my story because I'm not good at this, or I don't have this, or whatever. And so just trying to make war against that narrative. You don't have to just sit back and take this disempowered stance. You can realize that you have more agency over your life than you realize.
That's really good. And you gave a few examples. For instance, like you said, oh, sorry, I said that. I have no filter.
Yeah.
Saying something like that is essentially you're saying it's not my fault.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you actually do have a filter. You just don't work on it.
It's just weak.
It's just weakness. You're not owning the fact that you are responsible for the things that you say.
Yeah.
And so can you reframe it to see that you have ownership? Because when the agency of control is in your circumstances, then all of a sudden you're a victim to those circumstances.
Good.
When your agency of control is in your mood, you're essentially a victim to how you feel today.
Yeah.
You asked me
to
for
your hunger level.
Yeah, you asked me an example. You said, dude, is there anything in my life where you were like, is there a place I've done this well or not well? And one of the things I said is, you're an author, and you published books, and you will publish many more. And how many people have come to you wanting to be an author who publishes a book?
Yeah.
So many people want to do that.
Yeah.
But few people will. And the reason you do is because you write when you're not in the mood.
Every day.
Because if you only write when you're in the mood, well, then all of a sudden your agency of control belongs
to my mood.
to your mood and to your circumstances. So if I don't feel like working out today, then you're kind of a victim to your mood, and your feelings decide whether you do it or not. As opposed to extreme uncommon ownership looks like realizing I can do this even when I don't feel like it. I can show up at the gym. I can show up to write for an hour this morning. I can show up and follow through on this thing I told my wife that I would do, even when I'm not in the mood to do it. That's what ownership looks like. Yeah.
And you can do it. That's what I want people to hear. You can actually do it. You just have to make it a priority. And so that's where it went. I would love to hear from both of you.
Yeah.
What's your journey with that mentality been like over the years? And have you, like, as you look back on your faith, is there something that you had to realize, like, no, this doesn't come naturally to me, but I'm gonna figure out a way to make this a part of my everyday life?
Being detail oriented. I just have never been that.
Right.
I do a lot better living in vision and and I can motivate myself from that to accomplish a lot every day.
Yeah.
But I do a very poor job of mapping out and planning out beforehand exactly what I want to do. And I now need to do that because I have a lot of other people in my life who count on me and need me at specific times. And so I have had to become a detail-oriented person, and it goes against every grain in my body to do that. But I use that excuse so many times. Oh, I'm just not good at details.
Not a detail guy.
I'm not a detail guy. Therefore, you got to give me a pass
Yeah.
when I drop all the details,
Yeah.
you know, and
Right.
I've done
Right.
that for the majority of my life.
Yep.
Mm.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I feel like when we were early in faith, a lot of, behavioral change is the focus. And I was, so quick to fall into party life, temptation, all that. But my mechanism to not take ownership of it was just, I'll beat everybody there and I'll just know how bad I am. And like, oh, I'm just a mess. Like, I'm not cut out to be this man of God, Christian guy. So I would just kind of be there.
Mhm.
So that you don't actually have to take ownership, because it's like, everybody's going to feel bad because I've already called out what you all see. So I'm just the worst in the room. And because of that, I'm trying to just get by here. Instead of like, at some point I had to take ownership and go, I'm the one making these decisions. No one's making me live this way. And unfortunately for most people, that comes through like when you've hurt other people and you find yourself at a rock bottom place. I remember when we lived in California before we went to travel after we graduated from school. And part of taking ownership for me was writing apology letters to a list of females from my life.
Yeah.
And that was like a step of ownership. And it wasn't fun, but I was like, if I'm going to live a new life, I've got to actually put this life like to the grave. I've got to say goodbye to this life and apologize and make amends and all that kind of stuff. And those tough steps started to propel me to go, I don't want to do that ever again. I don't want to have broken relationships and have hurt people and have this inner shame and all these things in myself that this is all built up. So now I've got to take ownership in stepping into a new life now, which means I got to make different decisions, and I've got to have different, people that are speaking into my life and things I surround myself with. But it kind of feels like our human nature is to have to like make that decision once we've made a mess, rather than hearing somebody else say it and go, oh, I'll take ownership now before I go and make that.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's really good.
That's so good. I use the example of we talk about it a lot, every check-in being the same, when it's like well, next week I'm gonna do better, and then next week comes around and it's like, oh, I had a good week, but I still struggle with this thing, but this week I'm gonna get it. And then the next week comes around and it's the same thing.
Yeah.
And the line that I shared is that we use with each other is, I don't believe you. And I said, if you're going to use that, you got to get the tone right. And you have to have relational equity built up with the person.
Yeah.
But to say, hey, you've said every week for 5 weeks that this week's going to be different, and it hasn't yet. So I currently don't believe you. Yeah. That's a way that I've found to shake people out of that weird cycle of like, shame, confession, repeat, shame, confession, repeat. A game that I've played of like, I'm just going to beat everybody to it. And I'm going to just confess. And then like, you almost have like, what's the word where somebody immunity, right? And that I think is a really dangerous place to be.
Yeah.
Because there's something so beautiful about confession, but if you're confessing knowing full well that you're going to go right back into it the next week, I'm just not sure that that's really confession.
Right.
And I would rather you say,
or it's confession without true repentance.
There it is. That's actually way better. That is confession, but it's not repentance.
Right.
Okay, good. So what true confession there would be is, hey, I'm saying this to my group right now, and I'm just going to be really honest. I feel like I'm going to go right back to it on Wednesday.
Right.
Like that is confession. That's repentance.
Because most of the time there's not a plan of action. So you're not taking ownership, right?
Right.
And supportive, loving friends, often in circles where people are talking about real stuff, is like, yeah, I know I can do better, and I know I need to. And so I'm just going to like, but there's nothing really planned out, but everyone's like, yeah, man, you got, but that doesn't help.
It turns into this like weird form of therapy where we're all just like confessing things to each other to like keep getting by for another week without actually taking ownership over our lives.
Yeah. I keep on encouraging guys that I've been meeting with and talking to that are struggling with porn. We have a friend who he got to the point where he's like, I'm taking ownership of this. What's your email? Good. Got an app, signed up. I get an email every day about him.
Yep.
And I'll text him here and there and just be like, how's it going? And he'll be like, dude, thank you for checking in. I love when you check in. Like I'm good. And it's been life-changing for him. And he's taken ownership of it, not to go, yeah, man, it's just this battle that I can't seem to win. He's like, I'm going to win this.
That's a step.
And it's only going to happen if I step up. That's the story of addiction for anyone. It's when you make the choice. And that's how sin is. That's how any place in your life is when you take the ownership, and it can't be other people that decide it for you. You have to decide it for yourself. And sadly, I think we all, because we live in so much shame, we don't maybe believe that the better is possible for us or that we deserve it. And so we'll just keep staying in that same space.
Man. Or like to the person who's been in whatever the hurt, habit, hang up is for like 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, and just feels like, no, it's always going to be a part of our story. We just want to say, no way.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like today's a new day.
Yeah.
You actually can get up and fight this battle. And so don't give up, and don't let the enemy whisper that lie that like, well, this has always been a part of your life, so it always will be a part of your life.
Yeah.
Like the whole point of the gospel is we don't have to be the same today that we were yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah. Jesus, I mean, his intro statement was repent and believe, like meaning turn and start walking with me.
Kingdom of heaven is at hand.
That life's gone. You're walking with me now. There's a whole new thing for you. And maybe we don't totally feel the gravity of that sometimes when we like, I want to walk in faith, whatever. We don't see it as I'm getting off this beach now. And I'm walking with that guy from here, and I'm just going to start a whole new life. And whatever had power over me in the past, it seems like he's more powerful than that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do whatever he's telling me to do.
Man, that's good. It's like going from the victim in your story to the hero of the movie in your own story. The broken, imperfect character. Donald Miller says in Hero on a Mission, at some point in every movie, the characters divide.
Yeah.
And this person is going to go from victim to becoming a transformed hero.
Right.
And this person, it's very clear they're going to stay a victim.
Yeah.
And I think there's points in all of our lives where it's very clear, okay, this is where characters divide.
Yeah.
And you're going to stay a victim to your circumstance, or to, the locus of control is external.
Yeah.
Or you're going to own it. And you're going to own all the bad. And you're going to, even if it's, well, I'm here and this happened also because that person did this, or the economy is like this, or this over here caused this to happen. Okay, that might be actually really
Very
true.
Real. Very true.
But even if you did 2%, what would that 2% be?
Yeah.
What is it that you can own? Because until you decide to own that, nothing's going to change.
Yeah.
I heard this said once about like, what do your prayers look like? Because ownership looks like this. It looks like going from praying that God would change the outcome of your decisions to asking God to help you, to change you so that you make better decisions. So the classic one is sex outside of marriage. God, would you keep me from getting pregnant? God, would you keep my heart from getting broken? God, would you protect me from, whatever it is? Versus, God, would you change me into the kind of person who, even if I don't fully understand why, I want to do it this way instead. That is what uncommon ownership of your very decisions looks like.
Yeah.
But I'm curious for the two of you guys, because I was listening yesterday to a podcast to Lights On. Carl Lentz was talking to a life coach, and it goes along with ownership. And so I want to frame it and then ask you guys examples. So what is a common complaint that maybe you have always had about your life? And it's either something is a certain way and you wish it wasn't, or something is not a way and you wish it was. And then what are the costs of that complaint, and what is the payoff of that complaint? For instance, one of the examples they gave was, I'm just bad with money. I'm just bad with money. Okay, I've just always been like this, and I feel like I always will be. So the payoff of that is that, okay, you get to keep spending money however you want, and you can go out to eat even when you can't afford it, and you can get more, you can open up another credit card, and you don't have to live by a budget. There's reasons you don't want to change that.
For sure.
But then also, what is the cost of that thing? It's going to keep you where you are. You're never going to be able to actually afford that down payment. You're never going to have financial peace at the end of the day when you lay your head on the pillow.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Mm.
thought of, mine, one I've had for a long time is like I have headaches and I wish I didn't.
Yeah.
And there's a certain payoff from that too. I get an excuse anytime I need it. Hey, I have a
Mhm.
headache. I'm a migraine guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of nice sometimes to have something to blame.
Have you ever used that to not hang out with us?
Oh,
Sorry,
all the
guys.
time. I'm getting a headache right now, actually. But also my recent one has been like, I just don't have enough time. I don't
Yeah.
have enough time.
I was going to say that the payoff of that is so I can be distracted and kind of never prioritize my time
Right.
because it's just I'm too busy.
I'm
There's
too
too much
busy.
stuff to keep up
I'm
with,
too busy.
and that keeps you able to justify like I can't get into a good routine, or I'm just scrolling on my phone, whatever, instead of spending time with my family, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You can justify a lot of things when you're too busy
Mm-hmm.
instead of taking ownership and
Yeah.
just dialing in your calendar.
Yep. And another cost to
Prioritizing.
that is if you're a person that says I just don't have enough time, then you're definitely not spending time with God.
Oh,
so
for
it's
sure.
costing you. It's
Oh, yeah.
costing you maybe the most important thing that you could be doing with your time,
No doubt.
which is even if it's like 15 minutes of silence and solitude with God every day, you're
Change your life.
definitely not doing that. And so it's
Right.
costing you something
Yes.
deeply because of it,
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm a people pleaser. Has always been one for
Yep.
me. Where it's
Mm.
like, at some level, I've always just kind of assumed that that's who I am and who I'm always going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll be the one that goes the extra mile so that I don't disappoint somebody or
Mhm.
don't let somebody down. And so there's a huge cost to that. Namely, I end up trying to juggle a whole bunch of different things that aren't truly like aligned to my calling.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always good things. It's always ministry based things.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
But then I run out of time and run out of energy to focus on the things that I really feel like the Spirit is drawing me to.
Right.
And I'm getting way better at like feeling it when I'm doing it
Mm-hmm.
and feeling this like emptiness to it of just
Mhm.
like, oh, this isn't it. This isn't
Mhm.
why I'm on this
Mhm.
planet. I was just afraid to say no.
Yeah.
And so that's a big one for me is realizing like, no, I'm not like doomed to be a people pleaser
Right.
the rest of my life.
Right.
I have to dig down beneath the surface and figure out what's there and why I'm doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And how do we heal from those places,
Mm-hmm.
I always feel like I don't snorkel enough, and so I took ownership of it and recently did prioritize snorkeling. So
You did.
Yeah.
WE.
Wow.
it was life changing. So hope to do that more.
Where'd you go snorkeling?
I'll tell you later.
Okay. Yeah. But I love that question because it's what is the story that you tell yourself basically?
Yeah.
I'm just not an exercise person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And actually dissecting it and going, okay, why do I keep saying that? Because there is a payoff to it.
Mm.
That means I don't
Yes.
have to go exercise.
Yeah.
That means I don't have to be uncomfortable and break a
Yes.
sweat every day.
Right. Yes.
But there's a cost to it as well. When you say, man, I don't have a filter. Okay, there's a payoff to that. You get to say what you want to say.
Mm-hmm.
And then the story that you tell yourself, that you tell everybody else is, I don't have a filter. But there's a cost to it also. And usually it's your friend circle,
Yep.
right?
Here's what I think is one of the most classic ones. I've got church hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Oof.
And so the opportunity or whatever, what's the word you're saying?
There's a payoff and there's a
Payoff.
cost.
The payoff to always claiming your church hurt is you never have to commit to anything
Right.
Yeah.
and go all in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But the cost is going all in and being a part of a family of broken people and
Mm-hmm.
Dude.
experiencing the beauty of community and the gospel in your life.
Yeah.
But that is such a classic one. This is, with ownership, a metaphor I always love. Because I think the church can be very much filled with people who operate kind of like a fan rather than an owner.
Mm.
Who wrote the book, Not a Fan? It was like a
Kyle
Eidelman.
something.
That was,
there you
remember
go.
that was like a big thing. It's
Yeah.
like we're not just showing up as fans, but that's how a lot of us show up to church. A lot of that probably because of church or whatever. So I'm involved, but I'm not invested. You know,
Right,
kind of
yeah.
like
Mm-hmm.
everyone can argue about this, but arguably the greatest fan base in the NFL is the Green Bay Packers.
Mm-hmm.
And they are an uncommon franchise because of uncommon ownership because their
Ooh.
fans own the team.
Right.
So there's not one rich guy up in a box. There's all these people that have ownership stakes in the team.
Yeah.
So when they show up to Lambeau Field, their games are even more electric because they all own that team. They're
Stakes
like,
are higher.
this is our team.
Such a good example.
And I think if we started to see the church that way, of like, I'm an owner in this, I have ownership in what happens with this church, the movement of it, we'd be like the Green Bay Packers, which is an incredible, not fan base, but owner base. But too often we operate the other way.
Yeah. It's getting skin in the game to the point where it costs you something if the team doesn't win.
Yes.
So like for church, you know, if you're a fan, you can kind of show up and be part of the crowd and be excited because there's high energy, because there's momentum at this church and it's awesome. But if you're not an owner, then when it has tough seasons, you actually could I'll just go somewhere else where the momentum is.
Yeah.
Yes. At the end of the day, I'm like, but it's not going to cost me something. You know, I can just stop going. But when you actually put your heart into it and invest into it and go, I'm going to attach myself to this thing for the good, for better or for worse, much like marriage, you know, the good seasons and the difficult seasons. Then all of a sudden you care about it a lot more.
Oh yeah.
And you put a lot more blood, sweat, and tears into it.
Yes.
And that institution gets better because you've decided to attach yourself to it.
Right.
In an uncommon ownership kind of way.
Your mentality changes when you have ownership, because if you have ownership in your marriage, you're dreaming and thinking about how to make it better,
right?
How to build something out of it, versus if you kind of have a fan mentality that's just like, I'm here, but if things don't really go how I like them to be, I can bail on this.
Right.
And I think that's all over in relationships. It's in the things we get involved with. We just have such a struggle as humans to take ownership, because also the cost of taking ownership is when like someone fails, you fail with them. Like you have to live the downside of things as well. And nobody wants to do that. But I also think I'd be curious to hear what you guys think about the time we live in, that it seems like the way we're raising up generations right now is kind of like this. I'm going to keep everything like this. I'm not taking ownership of anything.
Right.
Not going to attach myself to anything at all.
Right.
Why is that happening? And how do we combat that?
Explain that more.
Like I just see the younger generations, I think, won't commit themselves to a career or to a job or to a relationship, to a marriage. Like there's no ownership, or there's a resistance to taking ownership of anything. Personal struggles, relationships.
Okay. I think, and I'm going to talk about this weekend. I think a lot of people lack hope in the future. So if you don't believe in the future of the thing, then you're not going to attach yourself to it in a way that costs you now.
Good.
So if you have only ever seen failed marriages, you don't believe in the future of your hypothetical marriage, you're not going to attach yourself to one now. If you think the world is doomed in 20 years, and you could be politically right and it's doomed for all these reasons, economy and world wars, or politically left, it's doomed for all these reasons, and climate crisis anxiety. A lot of young people are not even having kids because they're like, it's doomed.
The world's gonna.
So why would I attach myself to something now when in 25 years it's not even going to be here? So I think there's a lot of doomerism, just a lack of hope in the future. I don't think people believe in what's to come. Because I think the more you believe in a decade from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, in what's possible for your life, for your family, for the church you're building, for the company that you want to be part of, then you'll put more skin in the game today.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's really good. I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I think that's a huge piece to all of this. It's without vision, people perish. And if your vision of the future is we've got about 20, 25 years left, like that's the worst vision ever. Of course you're going to perish. Of course you're not going to own where you're at now. I'm sure there's a lot of answers to that question. Do you have any?
I think that there's been, within the giant swing of mental health focus in our culture, there's been within that a lot of bad therapy and a lot of people who have kind of been fed the narrative of everything that's wrong with your life is external. None of it's you. And you're kind of going to forever just have to be here in this office as a victim to the circumstances you live in. That doesn't actually often call some people to take ownership of how they're going to walk out of pain or trauma or whatever. It's almost like we've overdone it in a lot of people's lives, where it feels like we're making them more powerless.
Yeah.
By trying to dig into all these things that blame everybody else and everything else, rather than saying, okay, here's the circumstances, but here's how you can get on your feet and go live a fruitful life.
Yeah.
And I think and a lot of that's like TikTok therapy and all this stuff, where I think everyone's always looking for like something to blame and someone else's fault and some trauma that is from the outside. It's kind of leaving people powerless.
As if the point of life was to set up like perfect ideal circumstances.
Right.
Like that's what we're being trained up for.
Right.
Like imagine a team at like summer camp doing 2-a-days, and then the coach at the end of all of it is like, okay, so now hopefully there's no opponent ever this season and nobody
Right.
tries to actually take us down. And as long as everything's perfect, then we'll
Yeah.
be like, that's not how sports work.
No,
It's also
right.
not how life works. And so
Right.
the goal is not to set ourselves up to have the perfect circumstances all the time. The point is to get resilient.
Yeah.
So we know how to be in the storm and weather
That's
it.
good.
Right.
That's good. Is it safe to say power follows blame? So if you blame this thing for your circumstances, you also give all your power to that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you, let's say like you're that classic case of high school sports where my coach hates me.
Right.
Okay, so this is all the blame goes to your coach.
Yeah.
Right.
He also now has all the power in your life.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
As opposed to, okay, he might not like me, and also I could work harder to stand out.
Yeah.
Good.
Because if you can focus, it's kind of, I know, not very politically correct these days to say blame yourself, but if you can that's just ownership.
Yeah.
I'm going to take some of the blame
Yeah.
for the circumstance that I'm in. I'm going to own it and
Yeah.
I'm going to work harder.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you now can.
Yeah.
Because power follows blame.
Hmm.
And as long as the blame stays here, so does the
Right.
power. One more Ramsey quote, since we already talked about him, but he said this, he goes,
Big episode for Dave.
yeah. He said, it really matters what happens in the White House,
Yeah.
and it matters a whole lot more what happens in your house.
Mhm.
Yeah. Right.
So your financial situation,
Right.
it has something to do with the White House
Sure.
or the government or the economy. But if it only has everything to do with that,
Yep.
then they have all the power in your life.
Yeah.
Yep.
As opposed to it has actually more to do though with your budget and
Yeah.
what happens in your bank account and what happens in your house. And the reason that's good news when you can own it is because now you also have power to change it.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think another good example is like family, generational. People put the blame on, oh, my mom was just like that, so I'm like that. And they go about their day in like friendships or in like marriages or whatever. Or
Mhm.
like my dad was an alcoholic, so like I'm just an alcoholic. It just like is passed down. Like you just feel like it's just like stuck in you.
Yeah.
When like we're taught that's like, no, you can break it, but you don't feel like you actually can.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
really, really good.
I
We
think
were
a lot
talking
of-
about that earlier today.
A lot of people get
Yep.
fed the narrative through their family line of this is just how we are. But it's always the stories of the person who goes, that's how we were, but that's not how we're going to be anymore.
Right.
That changes the whole
Those are the
future.
stories worth telling.
Well, and also just want to add this in the argument of like my coach hates me. Most coaches don't hate people with good attitudes that work really hard and try to get better.
Right.
No.
Generally.
No.
Right.
So there might be something in there. Maybe the coach is just a terrible guy, or
Or
Yeah.
you got all those,
Maybe you've got some-
maybe you're actually really good, but you are missing the attitude part.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's going to drive a coach crazy. And here's a mirror.
Yeah.
You
Or
know?
to take it a
Yeah.
step further, you've been told by well-meaning people your whole life that you're a lot better than you actually are.
Yep.
And you got to look in the mirror and go,
May not
or
be-
maybe I'm not as good as I
May not
have-
be a
have been
D1
told.
athlete.
But I am that good of a singer.
No, yeah, I know you are. Doug.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Back to Kayla's point, sort of about the even like generational curses is a very real thing.
Yeah.
But how quick are we to give all the power to that curse
Mhm.
because you assign it all the blame? I've heard it said there is a difference between just because you're predisposed to something doesn't mean you're predetermined to do it.
Mhm.
You might be predisposed to alcoholism, but if you grow up on an island where there's no alcohol, you're never going to struggle with it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So just because you're predisposed to something,
Yeah.
if you conclude I'm also predetermined to do it because I'm predisposed to it, then you're blaming that thing, and that thing has all the power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or you keep leaving it in your house, or you keep showing up to the bar, or whatever it is.
Right.
Correct.
I'm gonna butcher this quote. I apologize. It's something along the lines of "Nature loads the gun, but nurture pulls the trigger."
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. I may have gotten that wrong.
Yeah,
but the
okay.
idea.
Dave Ramsey.
Yeah, Dave Ramsey said that.
So many quotes.
But the idea is we all have a past. We all have our lineage. We all have all of those things are very real. But at the end of the day, we also get to make decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And so the game becomes realizing the cards that you were dealt, realizing the advantages and the disadvantages, and going, okay, now with this, how am I going to play this hand to the best of my ability? And if addiction, for example, if alcoholics run rampant in your family, then you need to be more, a lot wiser and stricter in how you drink. And that's not legalism, that's wisdom.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
The facade, I think, that we pretend to all live under, that life's supposed to be easy and utopic, like everything's supposed to be perfect. One of the things fathers used to always instill in their sons was life is hard.
Mm-hmm.
It just is, which is exactly what Jesus said. I feel like because we say this so often, we forget how profound it is when he said, in this world, you will have trouble.
Yeah.
And we live in a society and a time where people want to ignore that and go, well, we shouldn't.
Right.
Everything should be perfect and we can create. It's like, no, in this world, you will have trouble,
Yes.
but take heart.
I've overcome the world.
I've overcome the world. And that's where you put your hope in the midst of circumstances that are going to be hard and difficult. But everyone wants to avoid anything that's difficult. And I think that's actually leaving us more and more powerless.
Yeah.
And not taking ownership to go into the hard circumstances and be victorious through them.
I think we started this year with a series called The Story You'll Tell.
Yeah.
And we did that in the sense of, at the end of this year, what is the story you'll tell with your life? But I think even day to day with our narratives that we live by, what is the story you tell yourself? It's like getting into an ice bath. If the story you tell yourself is, this is really good for me, you're going to get a lot of benefits from it. It's the power of narratives and the story that you tell about this thing to yourself. But if you get in it thinking, this is bad for me, I'm going to get a cold.
Yeah, I'm going to get sick.
You're probably going to catch a cold.
Yeah.
It's if you tell yourself, the example you brought up, I'm just bad at commitment. That's why I haven't committed to anything in my whole life.
I didn't bring that up.
No, you did. You did. I'm not talking about you.
I think Kayla brought that up.
Did she?
In her question. 10 years of marriage for some of the people in the room.
No, go back. You said it. Not about yourself.
Rewind it, Threethan.
Okay.
I already did the audio effect for you.
But I
don't
think
care.
as long
Go.
as you tell I know. But as long as you tell yourself the story, I'm bad at commitment.
Yeah, that's what I always used to tell myself.
Well, as long as you say that, you're going to be.
And I was.
Yeah.
Horrible at it.
Uh-huh. It's until you change the story you tell yourself about yourself. You know what? I actually think I can commit to something.
Yeah.
I actually don't think I'm bad at commitment.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you make a decision to commit to something. And then every day passes and every year passes with that marriage, for instance, and you make it through some hard conversations and some seasons where you're not feeling it, but you decide to stay. Then you start to build a reputation with yourself that backs up the story that you are telling yourself. I am good at commitment, and I've been kind of proving that to myself, because you will also prove it to yourself if you say I'm bad at it. You'll start to gain evidence for it.
Oh, yeah.
And I think you change the story you tell yourself, and then you live in such a way where you start to gather evidence that backs it up.
Yeah.
Every story, every movie that's ever inspired people that you walk out of the theater and go, I want to go live differently, is the story of a person who faces adversity.
Yeah.
And then there's that montage of their ownership moment where it's like, you know what? This is how I'm going to live now. And things start changing and shifting.
Yeah.
I feel like so many people need to have their montage moment in life.
Yeah.
What does that
Have your
look like? What
montage
would it
moment.
be to actually take ownership of this? Like I've thought of 5 movies while we're talking just now of like, Harry Potter's this orphan kid who gets dealt this horrible hand, finds out that like the weight of the world's on his shoulders, and he goes, okay, I guess I've got to step up and figure this out, right? The guys in the Lord of the Rings, they have their moment where they go, I guess it's in our hands, so we're going to go and save the world. Hunger Games girl steps up for her sister and is like, I'm going and I will fight and I will figure out and I'll overthrow this whole freaking thing.
Right.
Every great story. You need your Rocky montage where you decide to fight back.
Yeah.
Because at the end
What
of
would that look like?
At the end of all those movies, I'll speak for myself, but I look back and I go, man, my favorite part was not even the part where, you know, Creed wins the boxing match at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
It's the training
That's good,
montage
yeah.
with the dope song where he's getting stronger and you feel like something empowering come over yourself as well. Like that's what I want to live out.
That's the sweet spot.
And that also happens to be the very part of our lives we try to avoid because it sounds like hard work.
Yeah.
But in every movie, it's like, man, but I think it also says something about ourselves that the thing we avoid is also the thing we want more than anything else.
Yes.
I want to rise to that occasion. I want to transform
That's
from
it.
this person who couldn't win the fight into this person who now can win the fight.
Yep. It's the moment where you hear Jesus say, but take heart, and you decide to actually take heart
Right.
Yeah.
and start walking from the struggle into victory.
Because Jesus is the only one who isn't at fault for the sin problem. And yet Jesus took ultimate ownership to step out of heaven to come do something about it. And so if that's our North Star, if that's our example, then excuses may be common, but let's live uncommon and take ownership of our lives. Dave
Well,
Ramsey.
you've got a deal.
Because he said, all authority is mine.
Yeah.
AKA all power is mine because I owned it all.
Yeah, good.
I owned everything, every sin. Therefore, power follows blame or ownership, and he took all the blame. Therefore, he goes, now all the authority in the universe belongs to me. And I can do something about it now.
Oof.
There's something to that.
There's something
That's
to that.
cool.
That's good.
Well, we've been talking for a while, so
Have we?
We've covered a lot of ground.
yeah.
Can't wait for our new segment, WatchDoug,
Uh-huh.
debuting at our next episode.
Everybody's talking about it.
Next
Murmur.
week is a bye week,
Uh-huh.
and then we'll be back
Okay.
potentially with Donald J. or with Kamala. We'll see,
Yep.
depending on who Kayla can book. Hopefully both.
Maybe both.
Hopefully both.
Love to get them both
We
here.
can get them both.
At the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seemed to go well.
Yeah.
And they did that
Sure.
before. So
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
go Buffs, go Broncos, hook 'em. Peace.